Hi, if you're ready to do some more exploring Oregon, let's go to the Fort Rock, Christmas Valley area today. It's amazing how many interesting and scenic places there are in the small area around Fort Rock and Christmas Valley. When you first come here, you'd think there's nothing to see here but tumbleweeds and sand. We were here in mid-April, when it was raining about an inch a day just over the Cascades, but dry on this side of the mountains. There's a yarn that an old rancher from this area tells. He said he heard rain on his roof one time, so he ran outside to see what the commotion was. Well, a big raindrop hit him right on the head and knocked him out. And he said they had to throw 3 buckets of sand on him before he revived. Now, Fort Rock is about 50 miles south of Bend, and Christmas Valley is on the southwest side. The first place we'll go is the Hole in the Ground, then Big Hole, the town of Fort Rock, and Fort Rock itself. Next, an old abandoned ranch, the town of Silver Lake, and the lake, ? Also Summer Lake, and the sandy area on the north end. A trip to the top of Table Rock, and Christmas Valley. The scientists figure that a giant steam buildup under the ground exploded here, and that's what caused the hole in the ground. It looks just like a meteor crater. I noticed in the Forest Service maps that there's a couple more of these on east of here. Someone around here must evidently collect signs, because most of these places of interest you just have to find by driving around. Road number 400 goes all the way around the Big Hole. All you have to do to make a road is just drive through enough times to kill the bushes, and you've got a permanent road. The volcanic ash never turns to mud, and so no gravel or upkeep is needed. You've probably noticed by now that the Big Hole is full of trees, making it very hard to see how big it really is. This would be a very good place to log off and clear cut. I guess that would bring it back to how it used to be years ago, when it was more of a tourist attraction than it is now. There is a lava formation over there along the west rim. We're going to take a closer look at it. Then the road that goes down to the bottom, some big rocks, and a trip down Big Hole Butte. You can't see much more from the butte either, though, because of the trees. Water running down the butte washed a rut in the road, so pumice isn't quite as hard as pavement. After the Big Hole Butte, Highway 31 descends to the desert floor. In the town of Fort Rock, there's hardly anything left at all that's not closed. The grocery and gas station are shut down, and the school sits empty. The only thing left is the post office. If you want anything like supplies, you have to go to Silver Lake, Christmas Valley, or La Pine to get them. You wouldn't dream that there used to be a dozen small towns within the 25 miles west and southwest of here. Since lumber is scarce in this area, the few remaining buildings from the nearby ghost towns have been moved here, and they plan on opening a small museum soon. There are 4 or 5 of these rock monoliths in this area, but Fort Rock is the most interesting. It has a roadside rest area with heated restrooms. We're going to drive right up into the center of this old collapsed volcano and see the area where the cavalry fought off an Indian attack. This old abandoned ranch is just one of many places that were just left to the elements. I kind of like this country myself. It does get colder here than in the western part of Oregon in the wintertime, but over 300 days of sunshine a year is nothing to beat Sneeze Dad either. This 4-inch hole in the ground is evidently the home of some kind of a critter, but I didn't wait around long enough to find out what kind. We just headed on south on Highway 31, and we found a quail sitting on a fence post just as still as a statue, along with a few antelope who were busy grazing in the field out behind. Back in the 1800s, before Bend or Redmond existed, there used to be a main wagon trail up the open and mostly level terrain east of the pine forests and areas of heavy snows. The old road ran between Silver Lake and Prineville, and this is why there used to be so many small towns in this area. Silver Lake was the scene of a major tragedy during a Christmas Eve program in 1894. A man got up from a bench in the back of an upstairs hall and hit his head on a coal oil lantern. It shot out flames that completely engulfed the room in 2 minutes. 40 people were killed and 3 more died from burns afterwards. That was 1/5 of the population. All that could be found of them was buried in 5 caskets here in the cemetery under this large tombstone. Nearly every family lost at least one member. Some people left Silver Lake never to return or to speak of that night of terror again. Just thinking of it makes me want to warn everyone I can of the terrible fate that awaits each person who rejects God's gift of eternal life and chooses to go their own way. I know I'm much happier now than I've ever been before since I've surrendered my will to Jesus Christ and let Him direct my steps. I probably wouldn't have been able to visit all these interesting places and tape them for you. You can tell by all the wonders of His creation that He has to know more about living and loving than we could ever know without Him. It's really fun to do good things and obey all of His Word. That's the whole duty of man and the reason why He put us here. This is coming over Picture Rock Pass from the south, and the big flat down there you see is what used to be Silver Lake. It's one of several large lakes in this area that just dried up completely. It's being used today to graze cattle in. Across the road on the north side of Silver Lake is Table Rock, elevation 5,600 feet. We'll take the road to the top right after we go back through Picture Rock Pass and see Summer Lake. Now the clouds that you see coming off from the Summer Lake that look like steam are actually just alkali dust. Some old mountain men named this lake Summer Lake after they had come through the snow and the cold into this nice warm valley. The east side of the lake has Sahara-type sand dunes. We'll take a drive over there to the edge of them next. The clay from the sandy soil here looks like it would make pretty good pottery or adobe for building houses because it dries pretty hard. The sand road we're on goes along the wildlife refuge on the north side of Summer Lake. This road will take us back to Highway 31 at the Summer Lake store. All the alkali around here doesn't seem to hurt the birds. If you look real careful, you'll see a bunch of them running across this alkali flat. The road to the top of Table Rock winds through some scenic and interesting rock formations. You would want to drive a pickup or a van up here because you wouldn't make it over some of the large rocks in the road near the top. We're going to come into Christmas Valley after dark, so we'll have to come back again next month. There's still just so much to see in this colorful and beautiful high desert country. Come along with me again next month as we again explore Oregon. We're on every week now, so next week let's check out these sand dunes as we return to the Christmas Valley area of Central Oregon. We'll also see the Lost Forest, Devil's Garden, and many other off-the-beaten-path places of interest. This is probably one of the most scenic areas in the whole state, so if you haven't ever seen this area before, be sure to come on along.